Have you ever stopped in the middle of life's rush, met the eyes of a man, and suddenly felt an invisible force moving between you? A force you cannot see, cannot measure, yet you know it is there. It pulls him in, dissolving every wall of defense, leaving a primal urge that even he cannot explain. It is not a fleeting attraction, nor a cheap game of seduction. It feels like an invisible thread stretching from your soul to his, and once it touches, it creates a bond that cannot be resisted. Many women have wondered why some men seem completely captivated by one woman, while with them he appears distant or only mildly interested. Is it beauty? Is it the skill of conversation? Is it the flirting tips you have read in magazines or heard from friends? Yet after many attempts, you realize all of it stays on the surface. It exhausts you, makes you doubt, even blame yourself for not being attractive enough. But the truth is not in those tricks. The secret lives deep inside the male soul, in a place he himself has never truly touched. Carl Jung, the psychologist who dedicated his life to studying human nature, called it the collective unconscious. In that deep place, a man carries an inner feminine image, the anima. It is not a specific face, but a mysterious essence that appears like a dream. And it is this image, hidden in the unconscious, that determines which woman feels both familiar and irresistible to him. This is not something you can memorize like a formula, nor is it a form of manipulation. It is a sacred secret, a key that, if you know how to touch it, not only awakens a man's passion for you, but also awakens him to his true self. When that happens, his feelings for you are no longer just physical desire, but a bond rooted deep in the soul. Imagine male sexual energy as an underground river. It is always flowing, powerful, carrying the potential for destruction as well as creation. When that river is blocked, it bursts into shallow habits, fleeting pleasures, and passing passions. But when it is guided, when it is given a meaningful channel, it becomes a creative force that not only drives his desire, but also compels him to build, create, and live fully. And you, in your feminine presence, can become the channel, the riverbed, through which that energy flows completely. But you may ask, how can I become the one who awakens that energy? How can I reach the anima within him when he himself does not know he carries it? The answer lies in how you live, how you show up, how you see yourself. A woman does not need to chase, does not need to beg for love, does not need to become a false version of herself to please him. When you stand as your true self, deep, whole, strong yet soft, you are already touching his anima. The truth is, men are not drawn to tricks. They are drawn to frequency, to a silent energy that radiates from how you breathe, how you stay quiet, how you listen and look into his eyes. There is something in every man's soul searching for a woman who feels like an old dream and a new discovery at the same time. When you enter and match that missing piece, not by acting, but by being authentic, his whole being, mind, body, and unconscious, vibrates at once. And that is when he begins to think of you endlessly. He wakes up with you in his thoughts, goes to work still sensing your presence, comes home hearing your voice in his heart. The most beautiful truth is this. This power is not something new you must go out and find. It has been within you since the day you were born. This feminine essence, alive, receptive, mysterious, is your birthright. But society, teachings, and invisible pressures have led many women to forget this power, replacing it with the habit of pushing, competing, and pleasing. And when you lose connection with that essence, you lose the key to the male soul. Today, this journey opens before you, not for you to learn another trick, but for you to remember what has always been yours, a power that can transform your relationships, your view of men, and more than that, transform your entire life. And before you think this is only abstract theory, let me tell you this. Every deep spiritual secret is simple, and it can be lived in every breath, every glance, every moment. You are alive. You do not need to be someone else. You only need to return to yourself and let that energy move freely within you. Imagine a world where you no longer have to chase love, no longer have to lower yourself to be chosen, no longer have to exhaust yourself with psychological games. A world where your presence alone is enough to make him pause, enough to make him remember, enough to make you destiny in his mind. This is not a dream. This is the world Jung glimpsed through his theories of anima, animus, and the play of shadow and light in the soul. And this is the world you are about to step into. But to step in, you need an invitation, not only from me, but from your own heart. A call to remember that you already carry this power, that you are ready to open the door that has been asleep for too long. And when you agree, this journey will no longer be theory. It will become experience, reality, a new heartbeat in your relationship with yourself and with the man your heart chooses. Because in the moment you decide, everything begins to change. Energy shifts, the field of attraction moves, and then the world no longer follows the old rules. But on what foundation will this new world be built? What makes the thread between two souls unbreakable? There is a secret few people realize. Within every person exists both a masculine and a feminine side. They are not in conflict, but move together, like the sun and the moon, like inhale and exhale. Carl Jung called these two parts animus in women and anima in men. Animus is the part that is strong, logical, and directed. Anima is the part that is soft, intuitive, and emotional. And because both exist within us, we naturally seek someone outside to reflect the missing half of our inner picture. In the journey of love, a man always carries within him a vague image of his anima. It is not a specific face, nor a single personality. It is a blend of many experiences: his mother, his sister, his first love, the women from books, from childhood dreams. All of these come together to form an archetype, alive but buried in his unconscious. He may not know how to name it, but he is led by it in every glance, in every heartbeat, when he meets a certain woman. When your presence matches his inner image of anima, something resonates instantly. Like a string vibrating at the perfect frequency, it hums, it sings, without effort. This is no longer a matter of logic. It is a matter of the soul. And when that resonance happens, a man may look at you as if he has known you forever, even if it is the very first time you meet. Sexual energy, according to Jung, is not just the instinct for pleasure. It is the flow of creative life force, the energy that makes us build, write, paint, fight, protect, and invent. In other words, it is the force of life itself. When that life force is blocked or scattered toward fleeting desires, it loses strength. But when it finds a place to gather and flow, it becomes an endless source of inspiration. And when a man sees his anima reflected in you, all of that energy turns toward you. It no longer drifts. He begins not only to desire you, but to create, to build, to grow into a greater version of himself because of you. Maybe you have noticed, some men become more radiant, more alive, more talented when they are with a certain woman. He laughs more. He works with passion. He dreams new dreams. That is not an illusion. It is a sign that his inner energy is being awakened and guided, and that woman is the bridge connecting him with his anima. But here is the key. To be that kind of woman, you do not have to pretend. You do not need to wear a mask. In fact, what is needed is the opposite. You must live truthfully, connecting deeply with your own feminine core. Because when you are honest with your true nature, you naturally emit a frequency that his unconscious instantly recognizes, not with logic, not with thought, but with a deep instinct that says, "This is the image I have been searching for." Love at this level is no longer a game. It becomes transformation. Because you are not just his lover, you become the mirror of his soul. In your eyes, he sees the parts of himself he has long hidden. In your presence, he finds space to exhale, to release the hard shell the world has forced him to wear. And from that release, a powerful wave of energy begins to rise. Picture a dark room that has been locked for years. Within it, all his desires, pains, and dreams have been stored away. When the door is finally opened, light rushes in, air rushes in, and everything awakens. This is what happens when a man finds in you a resonance with his anima. The door to his unconscious swings open, and all the energy that was once suppressed is set free. Many women believe that to make a man love deeply, they must work hard to hold him, be perfect, or please him until they forget themselves. But the truth is very different. A man does not stay because you do too much. He stays because you awaken something in him. That awakening is what keeps him near. Not out of duty, not out of habit, but because of a pull he cannot resist. There is something fascinating about this. When a man is guided by this energy, he does not just want to be close to you. He feels as if he is walking alongside destiny. The relationship is no longer just romantic love. It becomes part of his journey of growth and awakening. He sees you not only as a lover, but as a mirror, a guide, a mystery he wants to explore for a lifetime. Can you feel the difference? A fleeting connection starts easily and fades just as quickly. But a resonance at the anima level never fades. It is etched like a mark into the soul, and he carries you with him, no matter where he goes, no matter how much time passes. And in that deep place, a question begins to form. How can a woman open the door to a man's anima in a natural and genuine way, not through tricks, but through her living presence? There are paths. There are ways to touch. There are secrets, Jung once revealed. They show that a woman can awaken not just love, but the creative fire and the spirit of devotion inside a man. These paths are not difficult, but they require courage. The courage to return to yourself, to live in the fullness of your feminine power. And when you begin walking that path, the change will show up in his eyes, in his heartbeat, in every little gesture he gives you. These are the signs of an attraction that no longer lives on the surface, but has reached down to the roots. But what are those paths? And how can you walk them without losing yourself, without turning love into control, but instead into devotion, into mutual transformation? There are secrets that do not exist in dating books, nor in the advice experts give on television. They cannot be reduced to little tips like text him after 10 minutes or keep your distance so he misses you. Those things only touch the surface, like drawing a circle in the sand that the tide erases as soon as it arrives. But when it comes to connecting with the anima in a man's soul, we are entering a sacred realm, where energy and spirit meet, where you not only attract him, but awaken the deepest part of who he is. Jung opened those doors with images, with theories, with the language of psychology. But what he offered was only a map. The real path must be lived, felt, and walked through your own presence. And there are 5 gateways, 5 paths, that help you open that resonance, not to control, but to become the mirror, the channel for the energy inside him that is searching for a way to rise. The first path is receptive presence. The anima in a man is soft, open, a place inside him that longs to pour out, to be emptied, to be touched without judgment. When you show up as a sacred vessel, not empty, but full of your own life and energy, you create a field that naturally draws him in. In that presence, you do not need many words. You only need eyes that listen, a shoulder that comforts, and a heart that does not rush to fix. A man who has worn armor all his life suddenly finds a place to set it down. And when he dares to exhale in front of you, that is the moment his river of energy begins to flow toward you. The second path is multi-layered communication. Men are often taught to live in logic, in reason, in words. But the anima inside him does not speak the language of logic. It whispers through metaphor, through dreams, through a fleeting glance, through silence. When you know how to use that language, telling a story rich with images, sharing a dream, letting silence also speak, you build a bridge straight from your soul to his unconscious. Few people can reach that place. And for that reason, when you do, he will never forget you. The third path is reflecting his shadow. Everyone has parts they reject, fears, weaknesses, even desires they dare not admit. Men especially are forced to hide them. Do not cry. Do not be weak. Do not be vulnerable. But the shadow does not disappear. It only sinks deeper, blocked like a great river behind a dam. When you can look into that shadow without fear, without shaming, without running, he experiences being truly seen for the first time. And that is the bond hardest to break. A man may walk away from beauty. He may forget promises, but he will never forget the woman who saw his darkness and stayed. The fourth path is keeping sacred polarity. The greatest magnetism lies in the balance between sameness and difference. Two people may share values and dreams, but if they lose the polarity between masculine and feminine, the relationship can become friendship, closeness without fire. Keeping polarity does not mean forcing yourself into a social mold. It means daring to live fully in your feminine energy. Soft, but not weak. Fluid, yet strong. When you live from that place, you not only keep the flame, but you ignite it in him. Because the masculine energy inside him shines brightest only in the presence of a fully embodied feminine energy. The fifth path is also the most mysterious, leading him into mystery. In a man's unconscious, anima is always tied to the unknown. He does not long for what has been fully revealed. He's drawn to the journey, the discovery, the surprise of each layer of your soul unfolding. When you keep mystery alive, not by playing games, but by always having a depth untouched, he will always want to know more. And that desire to know, over time, becomes a sacred obsession, a love that does not fade. These 5 paths are like 5 breaths, 5 directions that help you become the doorway for the energy inside him. But remember, this is not a technique. It is a way of living. It does not come from pretending. It comes from returning to your wholeness. When you become a full presence, listen with your heart, see his shadow, live in your feminine, and hold your mystery, you do not have to chase. He will find you. If right now you feel a vibration in your heart, a sense of yes that you cannot explain, it is not a coincidence. It is the voice of your own soul, remembering what has always been yours. And if this truth touches you, leave a mark. Write the word awaken in the comments as a sign to the universe that you are ready. A tap on the subscribe button, a light touch on the heart icon may seem small, but it is a ritual, an action showing you are walking with this light. And light, once shared, multiplies. It reaches other women who also need to remember their power, because in the end, the magic does not lie in learning how to hold on to a man. It lies in becoming the fullest version of yourself, so your presence becomes the mirror of his anima. When that happens, you no longer have to run after him. Resonance happens on its own. And once it opens, it transforms both you and him, opening a journey neither of you has ever known. And when resonance begins to form, one truth becomes clear. To awaken that energy in him, you must first awaken it in yourself. Because how can you awaken in someone else what still sleeps within you? When a woman truly steps onto this path, she soon discovers a powerful truth. To awaken and guide a man's energy, she must first learn to connect with the energy within herself. How can you open a door for him that you have never dared to open inside your own heart? How can you become the channel if you have never felt the flow inside your own being? In many ancient cultures, sexual energy was not seen only as a survival instinct. It was the breath of creation, the sacred fire within the body, the heartbeat connecting humans to the universe. But over time, society has made many women forget this. They were taught that sensuality is dangerous, that desire is shameful, that femininity must be controlled. Layer by layer, they close the door to their bodies, their natural rhythm, and the endless current of creativity flowing inside them. Yet that energy has never disappeared. It only sleeps, waiting to be awakened. The moment you choose to return to your body, to each breath, each living sensation on your skin, that is the moment you begin to reawaken the flame that has been dormant for so long. One morning, before you rush into the day's demands, take a few minutes for yourself. Close your eyes, place your hands on your lower belly, the place known as the creative center of the body. Inhale deeply, then exhale slowly. Imagine a warm golden light rising from that point, spreading through your whole body, then shining around you like a soft halo. Do not think of this as mere imagination. Your body will begin to respond. Your heartbeat will slow, your breath will soften, and a sense of peace and wholeness will start to cover you. This is your sexual energy, alive in its purest form, life, creation, radiance. As you nurture this simple practice each day, the field of energy around you will change. A man, even if he does not understand it with his mind, will feel the difference. He may not say it, but he will find himself drawn to you. He will feel close to you, as if the world has become softer and full of hope. And here is another secret. When you connect with your own energy, you will stop seeking love from a place of lack. You will stop trying to fill an empty space, because you will already feel whole, alive within yourself. From that wholeness, you do not need to hold on to anyone. You simply shine, and your light is enough to draw others to you. But this journey does not end with connecting to your body. It also lies in creating a safe space for yourself and for the man you love. Remember, most men have been wearing armor since they were young. They were taught to be strong, to never cry, to never tremble. They walk through life carrying heavy armor, and often they grow so tired they forget what it feels like to breathe freely. In your presence, he needs to remove that armor. But how does that happen? Not by pushing, not by questioning, not by trying to fix him, but by listening. When he speaks, you do not need to offer advice right away. Simply be there, open your heart, and let him know that even if he is weak, confused, or wounded, you still see him and accept him. That is where the magic lives. Because when a man feels safe enough to reveal himself fully, a stream of long-suppressed energy begins to flow. He exhales, allows his vulnerability to surface, and in that moment of release, he links that freedom to you. He remembers that it was you who allowed him to be himself, and he seeks you not only out of desire, but out of freedom, out of life itself. The truth is, sexual energy is not only suppressed in women, it is suppressed in men too, but in a different way. When society forces him to hide his fears and suppress his feelings, those streams of energy do not vanish. They are locked away in the dark room of his unconscious, and you, through your whole and steady presence, become the key that opens that door. You can imagine this as a river. When blocked, it builds up, rises, and creates pressure. But when opened, it flows out, fresh and nourishing the fields around it. A man's energy is the same. When it is released, it not only makes him more alive, but it also nourishes the relationship between you, and you, as the one who opened the way, become the irreplaceable center of his life. Yet to keep this flow from becoming chaos, you must also learn how to hold your own stability. Stability does not mean rigidity. It is the ability to stand firm while he sheds his armor. It is being spacious enough to welcome his storm without being swept away. This steadiness is what makes him feel truly safe. And when the first doors open, when the first drops of the river are released, you will see something extraordinary. Not only is he healed, but you too begin to change. Because energy never flows in just one direction. When you open for him, you are also opening for yourself. When you offer listening, you are also learning to listen to the hidden parts of your own being. And this is the beginning of a shared journey, where both of you are transformed. But behind the armor, beyond the words he has never spoken, there is an even deeper place, more complex, holding fragments of shadow he buried long ago. These fragments are not only weakness, they are fears, desires, and parts of himself he once believed were unacceptable. That shadowed space, once seen, releases a tremendous amount of energy, and the one who can help him face it is no one else but you. There is a door that most men carry with them through life, yet rarely dare to open. It is the door into their shadow, the place where fear lives, where vulnerability is hidden, where rejected desires and shattered parts of themselves are buried. From a young age, he was taught to hide these things. Boys don't cry. Men must be strong. Weakness is not allowed. So he learned to wear armor, build walls, and lock away anything that might seem unmanly. But those parts do not disappear. They are pushed down, suppressed, becoming a massive block of energy. And like water trapped behind a dam, it builds pressure, sometimes exploding as rage, sometimes turning into coldness, sometimes becoming a silent fear of intimacy that he cannot even explain. Jung called this the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the part of him that has not yet been acknowledged, not yet integrated. And when a woman is brave enough to see that shadow, without running, without judging, without trying to fix it, but simply witnessing and accepting it, something extraordinary happens. He begins to feel truly seen. Not just seen for his appearance, or his intellect, or his success, but seen beyond the armor, into a place he himself often avoids. Imagine a man who has wandered through a desert all his life, parched with thirst, and one day he finds a well. You are that well. When you are able to hold space for his shadow without fear, you do not need to do anything except be there and quietly affirm, "I see you, even this part." That simple act unleashes a powerful transformation, for he has spent enormous energy maintaining his mask. And when he no longer needs to hide, all that suppressed energy returns, alive and flowing naturally toward you, the one person who made him feel safe in his truth. You may ask, how can I see his shadow without being pulled into it? The answer is presence. When you are rooted in your own feminine energy, you stand on solid ground. You do not need to do anything. Your being is enough. In that space, he finds the courage to reveal himself. And with each moment he dares to let his shadow show, another wall crumbles. Sometimes the shadow shows up as anger. Do not rush to believe that anger is about you. It may echo from his past, from the times he was abandoned, rejected, or shamed. Sometimes it appears as distance or coldness, That may be the final layer of protection he holds on to. And sometimes it comes as a soft need, like a child longing to be held. In all of these moments, your calm presence becomes the medicine. Remember, accepting his shadow does not mean tolerating harm. These are two very different things. Acceptance means you see the truth of it. You do not shame its existence, while still maintaining your own safety and boundaries. This balance is what makes deep connection possible. When you dare to face the shadow with him, you will see the energy shift. The shadow, once acknowledged, no longer needs to hide. It becomes part of the light. And in that moment, his bond with you deepens to a level almost impossible to break. Because in his unconscious, he now holds the memory. She was there when I revealed the part of myself I feared the most. But the journey does not end with seeing the shadow. Because in a man's unconscious lives a powerful image, the anima. She is the inner feminine, the muse, the guide who leads him through dreams, through poetry, through love. And when you reflect that anima, not by pretending, but by radiating what is already within you, the connection becomes sacred. There are archetypes that the anima often takes: the inspiring muse, the healer, the fierce warrior, the high priestess, guiding him into mystery. Each man is drawn to a different expression, shaped by his childhood, his culture, his dreams. You can sense it by noticing who he admires, who moves him. Is he drawn to gentleness or strength? Does he seek nurturing or challenge? And when you allow the matching part of yourself to shine, not as a performance, but as your natural essence, he will feel something he cannot name. You are the image his unconscious has been holding all along. This is no longer ordinary attraction. It is soul recognition. Imagine a melody that is played in his mind since childhood, but he has never found the instrument to express it. Then one day, in your voice, your eyes, your smile, he hears that melody. He cannot walk away, because it is not just you he is drawn to. It is a piece of himself being awakened. That is why this kind of connection creates a bond he cannot explain. He may go far, but in his unconscious, a thread has been tied. And that thread does not bind through control. It binds through longing, the longing to return, to discover, to draw ever closer. And when the shadow is seen, when the anima is reflected, a turning point appears. This is when two souls begin to merge, not only on the conscious level, but deep in the unconscious. This is no longer ordinary love. This is a sacred union, where the masculine and the feminine meet not only through the body, but through their entire being. But what does this union look like? What does it feel like? And why did Jung call it the mystical marriage of opposites, where love becomes a form of spiritual alchemy? When the shadow has been seen, when the anima in a man is awakened, a great transformation begins. It is no longer a fleeting spark, no longer a moment of passing desire. It becomes a merging, a union so complete that the line between me and the other fades. Jung called this conjunctio, the sacred union of opposites. In the tradition of ancient alchemy, it was believed that when the sun and the moon, the king and the queen, gold and silver are united in the right way, they give birth to a new being, rebus, the divine figure of both genders, a symbol of wholeness. At the level of soul and psyche, conjunctio is the moment when the masculine and feminine energies meet deeply and fully enough to create a kind of love that rises beyond ordinary attraction. It is not just two people walking side by side. It is two energies blending into one, creating a new force field that surrounds them both. You can picture this feeling like two rivers meeting. At first, each has its own color, its own current. But when they join, they twist and flow into one powerful, life-giving river. In a relationship, conjunctio creates the same effect, an endless pull, a magnetic desire to explore one another, not with the mind, but with every breath, every glance, every silence. The magic of conjunctio lies in how it keeps mystery alive. A man may think he knows everything about you, and yet he continues to discover new layers. Feminine energy, when fully embodied, is never fixed. It flows, transforms, and dances like moonlight on water. Every time he looks again, he sees new beauty. That is what keeps the fire alive in him. At the level of intimacy, conjunctio is not only physical, it lives in quiet moments, when you sit in silence and still hear each other's hearts, when a single touch ignites warmth through the body, when one look speaks what 1,000 words cannot. These are the moments you know this connection was never built on games. It came from soul meeting soul. And to sustain Conjunctio, there is one quiet but powerful secret shared ritual. Jung spoke often of how ritual connects the conscious and unconscious, turning the ordinary into the sacred. In a relationship, small rituals are the invisible threads that hold the energy in place. Imagine this. Every morning, you and your partner share your dreams from the night before. A simple act, but it opens the door to the unconscious and invites each of you into the inner world of the other. Or before sleep, you hold hands in silence, letting your breath find the same rhythm. Over time, these small rituals become energy anchors whenever he thinks of them. He remembers you. He feels the connection, even across distance. Ritual does not need to be grand. Its power comes from simplicity and repetition, like tiny stars that, when joined, create constellations that guide the way. And in love, shared rituals become that constellation, leading you both through darkness, through storms, always back to each other. Conjunctio also brings something deeper: creation. When masculine and feminine unite, they create a field that stirs life, courage, inspiration. The man begins to feel new ideas, new focus. The woman begins to feel stronger, bolder, more willing to step beyond old limits. They become each other's inspiration, not by trying, but by simply sharing the energy born from their union. And something strange happens. The obsession he feels for you shifts. It is no longer rooted in fear or need to possess. It becomes a sacred obsession, a longing that never fades, a desire to be near you that makes him feel more free, more alive, more creative. You become not just a lover, but a source, a mystery he wants to explore for a lifetime. This is what makes love endure. Physical desire may fade, the thrill of newness may soften, but when love enters Conjunctio, it becomes a journey with no end. Each day, he feels as if he is entering a new world, and that world is you. Yet, Conjunctio is not easy. It asks for courage, for truth, for the willingness to face challenge. Because when two souls begin to merge, the deepest layers rise to the surface. But it is in facing those layers that love is refined, like gold purified through fire, glowing brighter, more pure. Remember the image of alchemy. No transformation happens without heat. And in love, the fire is made of trials, of shadows, of wounds that need healing. But if both hearts are brave enough to walk through, the result is a bond that nothing can break. You may wonder, how will I know when Conjunctio has begun? The answer lives in the quiet signs. You feel whole in the relationship without trying to prove anything. You feel sacredness in even the simplest moments. You feel joy rising from within, not because of what he does, but because of what awakens in you. And the man becomes more alive, more open, not only with you, but with life itself. Conjunctio is not a destination. It is a flow. It is reborn each day, each moment. And what keeps it alive is presence showing up fully, without running, without pretending. Yet when love has reached this sacred union, a deeper question appears. What is the core message of this journey? Why did the universe design love not only to connect us, but to transform us, to lead us to the deepest truth of who we are? When love has passed through the layers of enchantment, when it has moved beyond the surface games and entered the sacred space of Conjunctio, a deep stillness begins to emerge. It is no longer the storm of chaotic emotions, no longer the fear of losing or the need to hold on. Instead, there is a sense of resting, a resting in each other, and even more than that, a resting in the universe itself. Jung believed that the highest goal in life was not success, or power, or even fleeting happiness. It was individuation becoming fully oneself, integrating all parts of light and shadow, masculine and feminine, instinct and spirit. And love, when lived in awareness, becomes the most powerful path to that wholeness. To the man, you are not just a lover. You are the mirror that shows him the parts he has not dared to face. You are the doorway back to his anima, to the softness he had forgotten. You are the safe space where he can remove his armor and find himself again. And for you, he is not only a companion, he is the challenge that strengthens you, the force that calls you deeper into your feminine, the sacred fire that reminds you that you are not small. You are the river carrying primal power. When two souls walk this path together, love becomes alchemy. It turns desire into creation. It transforms longing into devotion. It lifts attraction into sacred love. And the most beautiful part, you do not just transform each other, you transform yourselves. Have you noticed that the deepest relationships are often the ones that make you face yourself the most? There may be tears, wounds, and moments of conflict, but within that fire, gold is purified. Within that challenge, a new version of yourself is born. And the same is true for him. He becomes more creative, more alive, more connected, not because you demand it, but because your presence awakens it in him. This is the core message of the journey. Love is not here to fill a void. It is here to awaken the soul. It is not a place of temporary comfort. It is a place where healing begins. It is not a game of winners and losers. It is a sacred dance between two energies, helping both expand, mature, and come closer to the divine essence within. And then something miraculous happens. When you have learned to channel your energy, when you have become the full embodiment of your feminine essence, you will realize that the man is no longer the center of the journey. You are. You no longer need to hold on to him to feel complete. You do not need him to prove your worth, because you have become the flame, and he simply reflects that light. He is no longer your only source, because the true source has always lived within you. In truth, when a woman lives in this power, she becomes a magnetic force, not only to the man she loves, but to the entire world around her. People are drawn to her presence, not for her looks, not for her charm, but for something they cannot name: life, truth, freedom. And that is the greatest gift this journey brings. You become fully yourself, radiant, whole, irreplaceable. But remember, this path is not easy. It asks you to face your own shadow, to face the fear of being hurt, to face the desire to control. It asks you to be brave enough to surrender, to trust, to open your heart even when you do not know what will come. But that opening is the only doorway through which love becomes magic. And if you have come this far, if your heart is still open, then know you are ready, not just to make a man obsessed with you, but to enter a kind of love that poets, artists, and spiritual pilgrims have praised for centuries, a love that is a mirror of the divine, where the lover and the beloved see each other, and in that gaze, they see the face of the sacred. Perhaps by now, you have felt something. This journey was never only about him. It was always about you. He is the companion, the mirror, the catalyst. But you are the one who awakens. You are the one who returns. You are the flame that lights the way. If your heart is moved by these words, leave a sign not just for me, but for your soul. Write a word, a symbol, or simply say, "I am ready" in the comments. Share this light, for somewhere, another woman may be lost in the dark, and through you, she may find her fire. And if this energy truly touched you, save it with a gentle tap on the subscribe button. Every time you return, the journey will go deeper, will open more layers that even you may not have expected. In the silence that follows, let these words dissolve into you like a bell echoing in your chest. Let them blend with your breath, with your heartbeat, because this story has never just been a lesson in love. It has always been a sacred initiation, a call to come home to yourself, to become the presence a man cannot stop longing for, not because you try, but because you simply are. And when you have become that radiant flame, the man will no longer see you as a lover. He will see you as destiny, not as an option, but as a soul's home, not only in this moment, but as an eternal path. Because in the end, the greatest power of attraction is not in what you do. It is in who you become. And when you become that flame, he will not just be drawn to you, he will be transformed. And in that transformation, you will both enter a love, not only to be lived, but to be awakened. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this story. If this message touched your heart, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next journey we take together. Your support means the world to me.